Hi everyone and good day. So as of this moment, we are going to have a review regarding English and American literature. So at this point, what we are just going to have is just to skim, okay, and get the main concept for each period of time during English and American literature. So let's start off with the first one, which is the English literature. Here, we actually have the let competencies. So, what are you expected to acquire once you graduated? So, of course, you can trace the major literary works produced in Ang-Am, like English and American literature. Also, you explain the tenets, like the literary movements, like what are the periods, like we have Romanticism and so forth. Then, we also need to define the literary items and concepts exemplified in the selected literary text. So, of course, you're going to analyze this literature works. But for this review, we are not going to analyze anything. I will just give you the famous authors, the periods, okay, the periods of time during in which English and American literature are flourishing, and at the same time the trend during that time. Also, the specific person and the themes during such time. So let's start. This is an old English period. Okay, this is just the start of the English language. If you remember during your EL 101, the language, culture, and society, okay, Romans invaded Britain in 55 BC, in which they introduced Christianity. Okay, so these people, the Romans, go with this land which we call now England. And then in 240 AD, Germanic people, the Angles and the Saxons, they invade England. Did you know that the reason why it is called England is because of the Angles, okay? The Angle land, England. Okay, so that's how it is formed. Now, there are two types of people during the Old English. We have the Gaels, which comes from the west and north, and also the Britons, which comes from the east and south. So that's how these people dwell in the place. Now, there is a person who's prominent during that time who is Venerable Bede. Venerable Bede is considered the father of English history because he wrote a lot of literature in which he gives their where did the land or the England came from, even the literature or the lifestyle. So we also have there the ecclesiastical history of the English people. Kaya siya ang tinatawag na father of English history. Also Alfred the Great. Okay, there we also have this one and Caedmon's hymn. So most of this, okay, it revolves on the history of English and at the same time the Christianity. Okay, the theme about the Christianity because the Caedmon's hymn talk about honoring God. Okay, so since since then, because the Romans actually give to us Christianity parables and or maybe the stories from the Bible, okay, become a trend, and it is a start of literature for English. And then Beowulf, okay, is like a very old literature. I think you've already seen movies with this. Is the most notable example of the earliest English poetry, which blends with Christianity and paganism. Yung paganism, it talks about worshiping, okay? Worshiping yung mga statue, yung mga ganun. Ayun yung paganism. And nag-start na rin yung pag-cover ng mga Norse, ng mga Vikings during that time. So, ibig sabihin, with the Old English period that we have, some people, okay, start to become interested with the Vikings lifestyle. Kaya manifest yung lifestyle nila dun din sa literature na meron. Just look at Beowulf. And did you know that during that time kasi nga, ini-invade, okay, ini-invade yung mga Celts. So when they were invaded, madaming sinunog na literature at isa ang Beowulf sa mga nakasurvive na literature. Kaya ito yung pinaka-luma. Okay, isa sa mga pinaka-luma na meron tayo for English history. Okay. So the Seafarer, look at that, is an English lyric poem. We don't know who is the author for this one, but it is about a adventure of an old man, okay, in the middle of the sea. So you look at that, kamukha din siya halos nung Beowulf as it talks also about adventure, perils of seafaring, and ends with praise of God. Kahit sa Beowulf, meron din mga Catholicism principles. Wanderer, yeah, narrated by a man, deprived lord, kinsman. So you see, pare-parehas sila ng team. Okay? There is kinsman, there's adventure, heroism. Ayun yung mga, ito yung mga nauuso. Ito yung mga nauuso na team back then. Explicitly symbolizes the speaker's spiritual yearnings. Okay? Yung may pati spiritual about kay God. Kasi nga, it's a time wherein Christianity is being spread. So, ito yung theme with our Old English. Okay. So, during that time, meron tayong colonization. Now, we have here the Battle of Brunanburg. Okay. So, it is an heroic Old English poem that records in nationalistic tone the triumph of the English against the combined forces of Scots, Vikings, and Britons. Okay? So, nakita nyo, historical siya. Okay? It really happens in real life. The same way the Battle of Maldon. Sa namang Battle of Maldon, ito natalo naman sila. It's about how they were colonized. Kaya, unlike in the Philippine literature, na preserve nila yung mga historical accounts. Sa atin kasi, sa Philippine history, hindi masyadong na-preserve ang history natin. Okay, so most literature during the Old English time involved battle scenes. See, their genre were about heroism, bravery, and faith to God. Okay, so ayun po yun. Okay, let's proceed. This time we have the Middle English period. So the Middle English period is also called like the Golden Era. It's like the Golden Era way back then. Okay, so in the Middle English, there's 11th century to 14th century. Ito na yung panahon wherein the Vikings started to invade the Norse. Okay, they started to invade the Anglo-Saxon. So once the Vikings are there, and yung mga itsura nila, ito niya yung sa anong movie yun? May movie tayo na gano'n. Parang How to Train Your Dragon. Ayan, yung How to Train Your Dragon, mga Vikings yun. So, when they invade, they actually influence the language, and at the same time, they give up 2,000 new words. Okay, so these are the Norse. Now, when they successfully invaded the place, suddenly the French, okay, the French comes in or came in the land, and it also affects how they use the language. The grammar was also affected as many old English grammatical features become simplified or disappeared. So maraming nangyari sa language because of the colonization. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, yung French language, it is called as one of the sophisticated language, and it also affects the English language. So the friar, the knight, the miller, the pardoner, the parson, the reeve, the wife, that. So, dun pala sa Old English, uso na yung mga heroism theme. Now, comes the French, mas lalo siyang na-highlight, pero yung mga terms na ginagamit nila are these terms coming from the French. So, yeah. So, more vocabulary, sophisticated vocabulary arise. At the same time, ito yung mga highlight during that time. We also have here allegory. Either the allegory, it becomes a trend. Ano ba yung allegory? It is a metaphor in which an object, person, or actions in narrative have meanings lie outside the narrative itself. Alam niyo yung allegory of the cave? You're actually comparing the cave into something. Okay, you're comparing it to something. Ballad, ayan, yung mga poetry that has a story and meant to be sung. Also, the medieval romance. Romance is not in a way that talks about love story. Sometimes it's more of emotions. Okay, so that's the Middle English period. Also, here comes the Middle English period. So here is Geoffrey Chaucer, the Canterbury Tales. Mahaba to. Parang iba't ibang 29 pilgrims, and these 29 pilgrims actually share their own story. So may kanya-kanya sila story. It's a narration. Kanya-kanya sila story. Papunta doon sa simbahan. Okay? Papunta na sa simbahan na gusto nila. Kaso, si Chaucer, he died. Okay, he died and he wasn't able to complete. But it is one of the most read literature and marami kasi. Para siyang series, naging series na siya that everyone is reading, so it became popular. And you see, no, it's still about Catholicism. Pa rin ang religion. Religion is a great influence with their literature kasi nga, evident pa rin siya. With Thomas Mallory, Le Morte d'Arthur, it is one way of night. Okay, as you see, yung French, yung mga language ng French, nadala pa rin until the Middle English period. So here's Arthur, who is destined to be a king. Siya lang yung nakapag-pull out nung sword because no one else can. All right. So we have here the Renaissance period. I'm so sorry. The Renaissance period is the golden era of English literature. The Middle English period is like the rise. Yun na yung start niya. Yung the rise, kasi nga nagsimula yung grammar, umaayos na. Pero yung Renaissance period talaga, yung golden era niya. Okay, so the Renaissance period is also called as the Elizabethan era. During the Elizabethan era, so we have here early modern and late modern English. So here, William Shakespeare was born during this era. Ma'am, bakit ito yung tinatawag na golden era? Because many literature writers rise and make literature popular. And one of these authors is William Shakespeare. So he invented 1,700 words like alligator, puppy, dog, fashionable. So yeah, because of a lot of literature, it rose. Many people then started reading because of its popularity. So many people also wanted to write. They got inspired. Okay. Also, in the late modern English, these are the technological advances. This is when the technological advances happen. Industrial Revolution, okay, and then more invention. So they have to actually produce new vocabulary because of this. The Greek and Latin words are mostly used back then because of it being dead and stagnant. Kapag kasi mm, hindi na buhay ang wika, hindi na siya nababago. Hindi na nababago yung meaning. Kaya Greek and Latin na yung gamit. Okay. During this time also, because literature is very prominent, of course, you're going to wonder what is the appropriate grammar. Okay, what is the grammar of that language? Kaya nag-start na magsulat ang Introduction to English Grammar. Okay, ito na, nag-start na siya na ma-form na yung mga grammars for English language. Also, the translation for the Holy Bible, still, na brought up pa rin yung Catholicism, the King James Version rised up during the Renaissance period so that a lot of people can also be influenced with the religion. Francis Bacon, did you know that essay is one of the prominent prose during the Elizabethan era, and Francis Bacon is like the father of the essays. He's also the father of inductive reasoning, in which he first give us examples during with his essays. You can actually observe that he first give examples, and then he go to his point, the general concept or theory. Okay, so yeah, he's a father of English essays. So here are some quotable quotes from Bacon. Feel free to pause this one, and yeah, you can actually see that in my screen. And after we have this one, of course, the very notable Shakespeare. And because Shakespeare had written a lot of novels, drama, plays. They were able to call his works, most of his works, Shakespearean sonnets. It is formed as A B A B C D C D E F E F G G. Okay. So these are some of his works: Antony and Cleopatra, Hamlet, Julius Caesar, Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, who did not know Romeo and Juliet, Midsummer Summer Night's Dream, and others. Okay, wala pa dito yung mga sonnets. Marami siyang sonnets, as in super. And alam niyo ba sa Let, marami ding mga sonnets ni Shakespeare ang nababanggit. Okay, do not forget him. Mas sikat siya in writing plays rather than novels. Sorry. Shakespeare, he's actually the one who started creating drama in poetic form. Pero right now, if you notice, when you look at a drama form of script, it's not poetic anymore. It's in a sentence form. Okay? So back then, during Shakespeare's time, it is in poem or poetic form. The stanzas and things. Alright, so after we have Shakespearean sonnet, we also have Spenserian sonnet. Okay. And Edmund Spenser is very known for his The Fairy Queen. Okay. At the same time, it's the rhyme scheme of Spenserian is A B A B B C B C C D C D. Okay, so that's pattern for Spenser, Edmund Spenser, and his Fairy Queen is actually an allegory for the Queen of Fairyland, who is Queen Elizabeth. These are their. Okay. All right. We also have Christopher Marlowe, the passionate shepherd to his love, and also Dr. Faustus. He is called the father of English tragedy. Okay? Um, this passionate shepherd to his love is like a poem of seduction. This is about a man, okay, trying to convince his listener to come and be his lover. Parang whoever is the reader might fall in love with him if you like the luxuries of the countryside. And Anne Danton. Anne Danton is a poet, a dramatist, and an actor. Okay, his most one of his most famous poetry is Song to Celia. The Song to Celia is for his wife while he's away with his wife. So I really love this line. Drink to me with only with thine eyes. Okay, ito yung first line niya. And it's about being in love to someone. All right. Anne Bradstreet. Actually, Anne Bradstreet can be considered also in American literature because he is actually an American and also an English. Okay. So the author to her book is her famous uh, literature, and it tells about what we are reading is like a baby. Okay, it's like a newborn baby of an author, and it's somehow when someone tries to destroy it, we are also destroyed. We're giving a part of ourselves uh, to that piece, the same way that a mother give a part of herself to the baby. Jane Austen, it's more of a feminist perspective because of her works Pride and Prejudice. The Pride and Prejudice talks about the status of women, okay, in the society. Is it more of, are we women considered to be just at home and marry someone who is rich so we can progress in life? Okay, so that's Jane Austen. Then, during the Puritan period, we also have John Milton. Puritan stands for, it's like a religion, okay, aside from, it's like a perspective also of Catholicism. Puritans know themselves being pure, okay, pure to God, okay. And Paradise Lost, okay, Paradise Lost is his work. It's about the sins of Adam and Eve. Okay, that's what it talks about, like how God is very mad with the sins that they've created. So it's like a guilt feeling, but there is like a Paradise Regained, like a sequel. Okay, sequel of Paradise Lost. After John Milton, we also have John Donne. John Donne is known for his work Love's Growth. He's a metaphysical poet. Okay, metaphysical meaning it's like it's not concrete. No one can actually have evidence of it. It's very abstract. All right. After we have the Renaissance period, as you see, there's a lot of literature under that Renaissance. We come now with the Restoration. Here in the Restoration, the English started to claim their land and started to form their own identity. So there is the Restoration during the 18th century. So Jonathan Swift is famous for his work or it's a publisher and Gulliver's Travel. If you're familiar, a man, okay, a very a huge man coming into a little town. So it's like how he wrote it to vex the world rather than to divert it. Alexander Pope, okay, The Rape of the Lock. This one it describes the furious fight between two families. Okay, when a young man snips off a lock of a beautiful Belinda's hair. So after that, we also have the romantic period. The romantic period is actually my favorite period during the English time, even the Americans, I actually, because this romantic period they call it as the new heaven. Okay, the new heaven because there are new perspectives coming in, and they even highlighted our own feelings genuine language, more of expression. It's like taking a pause. Okay, when you take a pause and you observe whatever is happening and then you romanticize it. Like for example, I'm just simply writing, but if I romanticize it, I will be able to get to tell you a lot of beautiful things I gain because of writing. So that's it. Another thing, people become more liberated. Okay, meaning they go outside their box. They're no longer consumed what is given to them. They try to explore, okay, with this type of poetry. So these are examples, or these are the romanticists during this time. We have William Wordsworth, who would have heard about "I wandered lonely as a cloud." This is about nature, imagination, okay, just pausing down and looking at whatever is passing through you. Okay. Also, we have William Blake. Okay, William Blake, The Sick Rose. This one is intriguing because it's like it's simple about the sick rose and the worm, but actually, this is it has moral meanings. The innocence of someone becoming or being destroyed because of the reality. Also, lastly, it could be William Ernest Henley, okay, Invictus. This one, Invictus, is about hope, in which you don't want people to lose their hope and to keep on gripping on that. It's like William Ernest Henley during that time has illness, and he wanted to also give himself hope. Okay, we now have here Percy Shelley. Okay, Ozymandias. Ozymandias is about power. Okay, and he inspired it from a tyrant. Okay, he wrote this because of a tyrant ruler named Ramesses II. He believed that all power is temporary, and whatever power or position you have, you will die eventually, and no one will bow down to you or bow to you if that's the case. Then John Keats, the Ode to a Nightingale. This John Keats work represents both nature and death. This bird flies around, so it's like mortality, the mortality perspective. And if you have Percy Shelley, we also have Mary Shelley. Okay, Mary Shelley, the ever famous Frankenstein. We also watch a lot of version for Frankenstein, and This Frankenstein, written by her, is called as the modern Prometheus. Why is it the modern Prometheus? Because if you remember, Prometheus is the one who brought fire and he snatched it from the gods and give it to people. The same way that Dr. Frankenstein actually gets something, okay, or provide something in the society that create huge change, in which he created a monster, not really a monster, a human being without it being born. Kasi hindi naman siya sinilang, ginawa niya lang yung tao na yun. So parang naging zombie, kaya siya naging, si Dr. Frankenstein, naging modern Prometheus. So yeah, it's about existentialism, the idealism of things with these works. Right after we have the Romantic period, Victorian age also comes in. It is followed with another good period kasi the English literature here is also celebrated. We have Elizabeth Barrett Browning. He or she wrote the most exquisite, sorry, he wrote the most exquisite love poems of her sonnets from the Portuguese. These lyrics were written secretly while Robert Browning was courting her. Okay, so the Portuguese is like William Browning's nickname to her. Now, during this time, the Victorian age, mas, kung ang Romantic period, ang New Heaven, mas lumawak pa yung Victorian age. Okay? Parang nagkaroon siya ng new dimension. The field of psychology comes in, the new inventions of science is also there, and people now starts to become realistic. Kasi doon sa romantic period, more of ideal, okay, abstract. Pero dito sa Victorian, nagiging real na siya. Realistic perspective, social. Ang pinaka-focus ng Victorian age, they wanted to highlight the social life of human being instead of dwelling on what's in their mind. Okay, so si Elizabeth Browning at si Robert Browning ay niligawan during that time. Sumikat sila dahil biruin nyo, no? Parang nagliligawan lang sila. Nag-exchange lang sila ng letter. Tapos ano, sumikat. Anyway, it's about love. It's always about love. Mas celebrated si Elizabeth Browning and Robert Browning is a fan of her. Parang ano, tapos ayun, sinulatan niya si Elizabeth, tapos nagsulatan na sila, and then yeah, they eventually end up together, and that's nice. Okay, and Robert Browning's work is Love Among the Ruins. The setting is about a war. Okay, it's a war thing, and it's a contrast between the past and the present, sorry, pride and love, war and peace. Okay. So yeah, a gentle reminder of the universal truth of peace winning over noise and sin. Okay, and love always win. Parang iba pa rin kapag may love. Diba? Inahalaga. So, Victorian novelist, another is Charles Dickens. Okay. Master of the Pickwick Papers. He's considered as the England's best loved novelist. Okay, marami. Ang pinakasikat sa kanya, Tale of Two Cities and Oliver Twist. Itong dalawang to, A Christmas Carol, and dami yung mga movies na to. Marami na rin siyang mga versions of Christmas Carol. And it's Charles Dickens. Why? Because people can relate. It's about social realism, what's happening in the society, and they actually make a story about this. So, yeah, that's Charles Dickens. Charlotte Bronte, Emily Bronte, and Anne Bronte. So, sisters, they are sisters. And they wrote they wrote romantic novels. Ito na yung totoong romantic romance. Ito na yung One is in Love to Another. The Wuthering Heights is their most famous work. It's personal story of a woman, okay? And they give a perspective of the status of the woman during that time. Okay, we also have George Eliot. Okay, she was the greatest, also a greatest woman novelist. She is famous for Celeste Mariner and Middlemarch. Okay, I wanted to look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, one, I doubt if you can read that. I cannot also read that, only the Dan. But two, then I think it's more readable, but we cannot understand it. Come third, there are words that can be understood, but there are some who still, which we cannot really still understand, like spake. But here comes four. Here comes the fourth one, which we can already understand. So this one is the modern English. The number one is old, middle, and then the romantic or the and that would be the restoration era, and then the modern era. All right. So here we go with the contemporary literature, modern literature. In modern literature, we have the tragic and inevitable loss of childhood and innocence, which is led by Lewis Carroll, the Alice Adventures in Wonderland. This is a very famous children's story, I think, and it talks about innocence. Okay, and it's innocence of a child, the loss of innocence, the fantasy, and even satire. There are also writers after the World Wars. We have here D.H. Lawrence. He explored highly psychological themes. Yeah, so D.H. Lawrence, yeah, self-pity, a very short, yeah, a very short poetry, which talks about pitying oneself, that one should not pity oneself. Okay, Roald Dahl is a very famous children book author. So, however, the example here, the landlady, okay, it does not talk about anything about children or child friendly because this is thrilling and horror. It's about Billy Weaver going in a bed and breakfast place, and then suddenly there's a landlady who looks very nice but cannot be really trusted. And then we also have here Virginia Woolf's The Haunted House. This haunted house is not scary, unlike the landlady. Okay, but it's actually romantic or drama, more of drama. It's about how a new couple moving into a new house. However, there's a ghost. Okay, and yeah, this is only a short story. Then our Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings. We have here the most famous, okay, Gollum. So it's about the ring tower. Uh, how everyone can be greedy just to get the position they wanted to have. Okay, it's more folklore, and we have here the most archetypal type of character. And to have George Orwell, the 1984, and Animal Farm. This is very controversial novel because it criticizes the society. So it's an anti-communist satire and also the anti-totalitarian novel. So you look how George Orwell created works. He created his work because he wanted to wake up people from what is really happening, and that was his perspective. That is his perspective, I think, until now. Okay, so yeah, so those are the English literature writers we had. I actually put in the comment section, in the description box rather, the shortened version of the author as well as what they are known for. Okay, you may check this out. This is just 1 minute text or 1 minute video. Okay, now let's proceed with the American literature. Okay, so for this American literature, we have here Christopher Columbus. So Christopher Columbus is actually the one who uh, discovered America. However, he is still unsure because they thought it is India. The king and queens, they are looking for, they're looking for an Indian land. However, Christopher Columbus described it, and they thought that whatever Christopher is describing, that is the Indian land. Now, Amerigo Vespucci actually discovered that the land is not Indian but America. That's why it was named after him, Amerigo America. Okay? So Captain John Smith, he was the one who led the Jamestown colony and write the famous story Pocahontas. Yung sa Disney, pero ibang version na, ibang Pocahontas yun. Love story yung nandun sa Disney. Iba yung sa kanya. Pero almost the same. So that's Captain John Smith. And we also have literature during Puritan's time. If you would notice, okay, um, during that time, parang same lang ang timeline ng English saka ng American. Pero nauna lang, of course, yung English. It's because they are being colonized by the English. And most of their influences and culture is given by the English to Americans. Kaya ganon. So, Puritan time, Jonathan Edwards. So, most of his work is about how God will punish you if you're not pure. A powerful sermon, sinners in the hands of an angry God. So, that's his work. And we also have here the American Enlightenment. So, this American Enlightenment, it has more emphasis on rationality rather than tradition. Also, it is a scientific inquiry instead of unquestioning religious dogma. So you see, it's enlightenment because they are going out of the box. It's like the Victorian period of the English. They're not just dwelling on religious perspective. They also tend to look outside. It's a representative government in place of monarchy. Okay. Now, American people started to revolt against Britain because of their colonization to their country. Of course, sino ba naman ang ayaw ng freedom? It's why we have here Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson. Actually, parang friend-friend sila. Thomas Jefferson is the one who wrote the Declaration of Independence. They wanted to be free, so they write an excerpt presenting a clear terms of American dream, which is freedom. How they don't want to be discriminated, how they want to have their own culture, how they wanted to stand on their own feet. So that's Thomas Jefferson. Now, for Benjamin Franklin, he used the pseudonym Poor Richard, okay? And what he did is a yearly almanac. These two are the prominent writers during this Enlightenment time. Then we have here Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln is considered like a hero because he's the one who wanted America to be free. That's why we have Walt Whitman, Oh Captain, My Captain. This Walt Whitman's work is actually dedicated for Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, it's alluded to Abraham Lincoln because Oh Captain, My Captain is about a captain who journeyed somewhere, and when they reach the journey, they become successful. The captain is no longer alive. He did not witness the success. And it's the same with Abraham Lincoln. Because of the assassination, Abraham Lincoln was killed, and Walt Whitman felt that way, that he was not able to witness how America will be free. We also have here Chief Joseph. I will fight no more forever. It's like giving up hope because they think it's not worth the fight. Okay. So as you see, it's enlightenment. They are trying to break free from the British or from the English colonization. Then we have here the Romantic period, the same with the English. We also have the English, the American version of that. Examination of feelings, emotions, as what we discussed last time. They are also called the transcendentalists, this romanticist that we have. It's a manifestation of general humanitarian trend, like your spiritual, your soul. So another thing, Gothic, the theme Gothic also start to arise. The same with Frankenstein, no? Okay. Even here, so the movement was based on the belief in the unity of world and God. Like they're trying to combine these two elements. Hey, whenever we talk about Gothic, we have no other candidates but Edgar Allan Poe. Okay, Edgar Allan Poe. His work is really thrilling and it's dark, spooky sometimes. Okay, like the Telltale Heart. Another is Nathaniel Hawthorne, although the Scarlet Letter is not Gothic, but it presents about the Puritans' perspective, but the way also how women can be discriminated. Okay. We also have the transcendentalist Henry David Thoreau, his essay The Conscience. Emily Dickinson, Hope is the thing with feathers. One unique thing about Emily Dickinson is that her poetry is mostly consist of different punctuations. Maraming punctuations. And also Ralph Waldo Emerson, the self-reliance essay, is also his popular writings. Okay. We also have here during the Romantic period the Brahmin poets. Okay, whenever we talk about Brahmin, it's like um, having this. The Brahmin is like a god. Okay, a god. Now, Boston Brahmin poets refer to the patrician, Harvard-educated literati who sought to fuse American and European traditions in their writing. So they wanted to combine. Okay, they wanted to combine American and European way of writing. So that's what they do. We have Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, this one, itong, nandito sa part na to, yung sa Brown. And Oliver Wendell Holmes is about the autocrat of the breakfast. So these Brahmin poets, they are Harvard educated. It's like they're elite. No? Then the same with after the romantic, here comes the realism. Para siyang yung Victorian era din. It marks the end of the Civil War. It shifts from being transcendental, being romantic, to abstract things, then coming to realistic approach. Like what is really happening? It is not concerned with ideas, but what's the real problem in the society. And industrial revolution is also here with the age of realism. Okay, so we have here realistic writers. Alam niyo ba, laging lumalabas sa left questions kung ano yung totoong pangalan ni Mark Twain. And it is Samuel Clemens. Okay, wag mo kakalimutan yun na. So Huckleberry Finn is his famous work. It's about death, rebirth, and initiation. Pero kung isipin mo siya on the lighter side, parang ano lang siya, friendship theme. Pero there's more. Then we have Jack London, realistic din yan, to build a fire. How a man can survive the cold. Okay, so the modernism and the experimentation time now comes in. It's the period of lost generation. Ito, dahil nga nagiging mas malaya na. Okay, they're becoming free because civil war is ending or has ended. So people now starts to rise from ashes, but they don't know where to start. So they actually need to experiment on things they know. So it's the experimentation time. So kaya nga siya lost generation. We don't know what's happening. We don't know where we are going, but all we know is that we survived. Okay. Workers lost their job. Factories shut down. Businesses and banks failed. You look at that. The economy is really decreasing. Now, another thing is that Freudian psychology is in Marxism. Dito siya nag-start. And Euclidicism arose in the United States. Dito rin sa realism, may mga bago silang approach in terms of analyzing a literature. Okay. In the 1950s, there's a delayed impact of modernization. As you see, yung economy nga kasi bumababa na. So, syempre, modernization, napapause din siya. There is also, during the 1920s, it's the time before the Great Depression. Yung Great Depression, ito na yung grabe yung tax. Wala, yung economy kasi sobrang baba na. Kaya yung economy ng Amerika, hindi na talaga siya okay. So World War II brought the United States out of the Depression, and the loneliness at the top was a dominant theme. So you look at that. Loneliness is what most of the people feel during that time. That's why our author tried this. Most of their work revolve around their feelings. Okay. You see, these are black people. Okay. And we have here Ralph Waldo Ellison, The Invisible Man, a story of a black man who lives in subterranean existence. Also, Alice Walker, an African American woman who use lyrical realism. The color purple, it's also again an African woman. Also, Maya Angelou. Okay, most of her works are poetry, and most of the time it's about a mother-daughter connection, being free, being out of discrimination. All of these three, okay, are talks about freedom, okay, and being out of biases and discrimination. Because yeah, we certainly know that they are most of the time discriminated because of their skin color. Okay, and we also have here the modernist poets, T.S. Eliot, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Ito yung famous niya na work. It's elderly Prufrock thinks to himself that he has measured out his life in coffee spoons, using coffee spoons to reflect a humdrum existence and wasted lifetime. Kasi nga, it's a time of experimentation in modernism. Hindi na alam kung saan patungo. Ganon. Nagre-reflect kung ano nangyayari, kung anong history doon sa mga literature nila. Robert Frost combines sounds and sense in his frequent use of rhyme and images. What is good about Robert Frost is that he used simple languages which can be easily understood, but at the same time, it has a deeper meaning. Okay? All right. And speaking of loneliness, mapapansin niyo dito sa tatlong to, they are about somehow my perspective of loneliness and alone. Ernest Hemingway, The Old Man in the Sea, how an old man tried to get this a certain fish. Okay. Then Sylvia Plath. Sylvia Plath is my favorite author, The Bell Jar. It's about a woman, and it's like her autobiography. Eh. Pero syempre, hindi niya pinangalanan yun sa sarili niya. Before he end her life, she created this the bell jar out of her depression. And we have F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby, in which it's about how human beings wanted to climb to the top and wanted to be popular, to have a lot of money, and that's it. Those are our contemporary novel. I hope na medyo bumalik sa inyo yung mga ganap sa mga nabasa niyong poetry. So just remember this line before I end. Literature, may it be fiction or not, conveys the truth of human's mind. It narrates what happened, what is happening, and what could possibly happen. Instead, it is one of the, indeed, it is one's way of predicting future and surviving. What we notice is that whatever the literature is, it reflects who they are, and it reflects the society they are in, and even the culture they are in. So you also continue writing. You also try to read more of literature to know more about a certain person or maybe a history. That will be it, and I hope you get reviewed and learn something. Thank you, everyone.